Let's jump right into this explainer because we're looking at a pretty wild truth today. Achieving financial success, it's not actually about white-knuckling your way through life with immense willpower. No, it's really about understanding and, frankly, hacking our own psychological defaults. We constantly tell ourselves that if we just tried a little harder, budgeted a bit better, or miraculously found some extra discipline, all our money stress would just vanish. But as we're going to see, the data tells a completely different story about how we actually behave. Think about the ultimate financial fantasy, the one we all daydream about. You buy a ticket, you hit the jackpot, and boom, you are literally set for life. But science actually poses a much tougher question about human nature and our relationship with money. Does a massive, sudden windfall actually permanently change your daily baseline of joy? Well, a landmark 1978 study by Brickman, Coates, and Yanoff-Bowman brilliantly illustrates the shocking answer. They compared 22 lottery winners with 29 people who had recently become paralyzed in accidents. And researchers found something unbelievable. After the initial emotional shock of these extreme life events wore off, both the lottery winners and the accident victims eventually just went right back to their previous baseline levels of happiness. Our brains simply adapt to the new normal, no matter how extreme it is. The lottery winners weren't really any happier than the control group. And get this, they even found less pleasure in everyday mundane activities. Section 1. The hedonic treadmill. Psychological set points. So, to understand why extreme wealth doesn't just automatically equal extreme joy, we have to look at a piece of our biological wiring that keeps us, constantly running in place. It's called the hedonic treadmill. The crucial thing here is that as you make more money, your expectations and your desires rise right along with it, which completely neutralizes any permanent gain in happiness. Think about it. When you get a raise, you probably feel ecstatic for a minute, right? But then, soon enough, you upgrade your car, you eat out a bit more often, and suddenly that brand new salary just feels normal. You've adapted. Your psychological set point adjusts, and you're right back to feeling the exact same way you did before that raise even happened. It's super fascinating how this shows up in our daily thoughts. Social theorist Greg Easterbrook actually calls this abundance denial. We literally build these elaborate rationalizations to make ourselves feel deprived absolutely no matter how much wealth we've managed to accumulate. And because we're all stuck on this treadmill, relying on raw motivation or sheer willpower to save your money is just a losing game. Your brain is wired to adapt, to crave more, and to always feel like you're just a little bit short of having enough. Section 2. The power of defaults. Bypassing laziness. So if willpower is out, what can we rely on? Well, let's pivot to some real-world economics and see what actually works when our motivation inevitably tanks. Researchers at the National Bureau of Economic Research did this massive study looking at the 401k habits of tens of thousands of employees across 3 huge corporations. They wanted to figure out exactly what happens when the default choice flips from having to manually opt in to an automatic opt-out system. In the old-school setup, you get a giant stack of HR paperwork on day 1, and you have to actively choose to join the retirement plan. But under auto-enrollment, you're just in. You are automatically participating unless you actively go out of your way to fill out a form to stop it. The data shows a staggering jump in participation here. It's wild. Under those old opt-in rules, participation after a few months on the job was sitting at a really dismal 26 to 43%. But throw in auto-enrollment, participation practically skyrockets to over 85% almost immediately. This is huge because it proves that simple system defaults can completely bypass our psychological laziness. These folks didn't suddenly wake up more financially literate or highly motivated. The environment just made the right choice the absolute easiest choice to make.
Section 3. The anchoring trap. Hidden dangers.
Now, before we pop the champagne on this neat little corporate hack, we really need to shine a light on a hidden danger lurking right inside these exact same automatic systems. 2 or 3%. That is the incredibly low default savings rate chosen by the vast majority of companies that use automatic enrollment. Why so low? Usually it's just administrative caution on the company's part. But for you, the employee, it very quickly turns into a massive psychological anchor weighing down your entire wealth trajectory. Because you're automatically enrolled at 3%, your brain just naturally assumes, well, the company picked this, so it's got to be the recommended smart amount to save, right?
The data actually reveals a fascinating and honestly kind of scary behavioral quirk here. Right out of the gate, about 80% of automatically enrolled participants just blindly accept both that low default savings rate and the highly conservative default investment fund the company picked, which is usually just a stable value or a basic money market fund. And that anchoring effect, it is incredibly sticky. Get this, Even after 3 full years, half of the plan participants are still contributing at that initial low rate with their money just sitting parked in that overly conservative funds.
The invisible hand of the default is just so incredibly strong that it creates this massive trade-off. While it beautifully solves the problem of non-savers by dragging everyone into the plan, it simultaneously kneecaps aggressive long-term wealth building. By parking people at a 2% contribution rate in a cash equivalent fund, they are totally missing out on the compounding growth of equities over decades. The researchers basically found a frustrating tie. The massive win of getting non-savers to save is essentially canceled out by preventing future millionaires from investing aggressively. You fix the zero savings problem, sure, but you severely limit the number of people actually maximizing their wealth. Section 4. Atomic Financial Habits. Design your environment. So since human motivation is guaranteed to fade, thank you, hedonic treadmill, and we clearly see how defaults completely dictate our behavior, it is officially time to become the architect of your own personal environment. As author James Clear famously says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. This quote just perfectly nails it. If your daily system is flawed, you are inevitably going to fall right back into bad financial habits. It doesn't matter how badly you want to be wealthy, if your default environment encourages spending, you're going to spend. Because your environment is the invisible hand shaping so much of your behavior, building new financial habits is just so much easier if you intentionally hack your physical and digital surroundings. Think about it. If you're trying to save money, but you're constantly scrolling through Instagram, getting hit with targeted ads for things you crave, your environment is actively working against you. The context literally becomes a cue. So to change the behavior, you absolutely have to change those cues. If we want to leverage the third law of behavior change, which is simply make it easy, you need to design your financial life exactly like one of those corporate auto-enrollment plans. Step 1, track your money, because just measuring it sparks the urge to change it. Step 2, automate your investments the second your paycheck hits. This completely eliminates the mental tension of deciding whether or not to save that cash sitting in your checking account. And step 3, crank up the friction on your bad habits. Constantly overspending? Try a literal approach. Put your credit card in a cup of water and freeze it into a solid block of ice. I'm serious. It forces a physical cooling off period to stop those impulse buys dead in their tracks. Let's look at how we can cultivate this wealth environment every single day. Start by slimming down your wallet, get rid of those tempting store cards, unsubscribe from all those retail newsletters that literally just exist to manufacture desire. Commit to sticking to a written grocery list so you aren't ambushed by those end cap displays at the store. You could even go as far as switching banks entirely just to reset your ingrained habits. It effectively erases all the old environmental cues tied to swiping a specific card. Making these minuscule, atomic changes to your immediate context forces your everyday actions to compound into truly remarkable financial results over the course of your life. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on as you evaluate the invisible psychological systems currently running your wallet. If you are destined to fall to the level of your systems, what is your financial default set to right now? Are your current defaults automatically building your wealth? Or are they quietly draining it? Take a really good look around your environment today and start hacking those defaults.